How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the CPAC?
I know.
We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that?
We started talking about Syria, and he got a placemat, and he turned it on its back, and then he took a Sharpie, and he drew a perfect map of the Mideast. And then he put the troop strength of every country on every border on that map. And it just, it challenged a lot of the assumptions that I had been told about him. He has, he has this extraordinary depth of knowledge about what's happening in each one of the agencies.
People are sitting there going, oh, this person didn't come, this person didn't come. Yes, there are many great people that couldn't make it. Either they didn't want to come or they're tied up running wars and looking after the country. It doesn't matter. You came. This is the power of this movement. The only way we're going to win in the
arrest and deport.
Yes.
I'm going to make that my tramp stamp.
I missed a party. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Rescue Michigan Sunday night live stream with our favorite guest, practically co-host Shane Trejo. Shane, you always go to CPAC. Did you go this year, though? Were you there?
Yeah, I was only there for the first couple of days.
You did go? Okay.
Yeah. So my group, Republicans for National Renewal, we hosted a party there. It was actually a very good party. And we had former Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino was the keynote. We had State Representative Toth there, the guy who beat Crenshaw. We had future Congressman Daniel Herrera spoke. So we had a pretty good roster of people.
He was the guy that he beat. Who was it that he beat?
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez. That's right. Yeah. So CPAC was in Texas this year, not the usual Washington.
And I did like that. I didn't really attend. I did a little tabling, but I didn't really attend the actual convention portion. I know there was a lot of cringe parts. I think Matt Gaetz might have had a good speech. Brendan Straka might have had a good speech, but there was a lot of cringe. We
just heard Steve Bannon complain about the low turnout. So,
and one of the things, I guess there was a lot of pro-war Iranian American type people who showed up and flooded the stage or flooded the. Thank you, Mark. Mark got we'll talk about it later, but he got a Patriot of the Year award, or Grassroots Patriot of the Year award for his district. So well earned, Mark.
Oh, Mark. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Reza Pahlavi.
No.
This is like, wait, Reza got a Grassroots Patriot? I mean, that's even a stretch for the CIA. I mean, come on now.
But yeah, they flooded the whole. Yeah, they flooded the whole area for Reza to create the kind of the facade that there's a lot of support behind the war and that this guy is a legitimate leader. But he won't go anywhere near his own country. And all he cares about is doing conventions like that to keep the grift going along. He wants to be installed by the CIA just like his father was. So it's a sad display. And I think a lot of the people at the event, they are pro-Iran war, but they are a small minority. And I don't want to say when, but if boots on the ground show up in Iran,
there's no minority in Iran.
Then it's gonna go down. The support for the war is going to go down exponentially, and it's going to go from worst to worst.
That gives me an idea, and I do want to come back to talk about Iran because obviously there's tons of Iran-related stuff in the news this week. We got to talk about that, but I did want to at least cover a few state and local related things, and that gives me a perfect segue because I just got a brilliant idea from Reza Pahlavi showing up at CPAC and bringing his whole CIA-funded entourage with him to show up in the audience and hoot and holler for him, which is that there is actually a big Michigan Republican event coming up in just under 2 weeks in Ann Arbor, in my neck of the woods, University of Michigan. They are hosting a gubernatorial debate. and 5 of the 6 candidates, because of course John James won't debate, but they're having their big debate at Rackham Auditorium, which is a huge auditorium. For those who don't know, it seats like I think 1,500 people, something like that. So the U of M College Republicans have organized this event. It's going to be huge. You guys should all go to Washtenaw.GOPclub.com. There's a big banner on the homepage. You can click the links to get your ticket. You can also sponsor a student to get their tickets. Anyway, brilliant. We got to just get Reza Pahlavi to be a special guest at the event. He'll fill all the seats with all the CIA people he'll bring along with him. Anyway, that's kind of
maybe he can be installed as governor of Michigan.
Yeah, man, that might do that too. They'll flood it for the voting rolls too. Put all the foreign nationals on the voting rolls. No, I don't know. I'm obviously just joking around. Although I am not joking around about getting people to come to that debate. Should be fun. Should be interesting. Hopefully, have some laughs at John James's expense, because he is yet again refusing to debate anybody else.
Yeah, but that's the non-rhino version of the college Republicans that are putting it on too. So yeah, good to support that newly more sincerely populist, anti-establishment version of the CR. So come out and support it.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about CPAC, and the theme of the show is I called it the Lost Republican Soul, which on one hand I think is kind of trite, obviously, because we've been talking about this shit for years. Oh, the heart and soul of the Republican Party. But it does feel like there's a number of these little inflection points. There was CPAC, there was the convention. We'll talk about that in a second. Then there was this Mike Bouchard story we'll get to as well. But anyway, so CPAC. What else was I was going to ask you something else about CPAC? Oh yeah, so there was the surprising number of cheers for impeachment, despite Matt Schlapp, the top CPAC grifter, having to actually lecture the audience. No, you're not supposed to clap for that one, but then they did anyway. So I don't know. What's your sense of the people at CPAC? No, I know at CPAC, I mean, the audience tends to skew younger than average, but still, it's a mover and shaker kind of event. What was your sense of what the vibe was at CPAC this year?
I think that, it was more of kind of like, they're on board with Trump and Iran. I think there's probably like a minority of mostly young people who were there. They're probably the ones cheering for impeachment, because I think it's, the Iran war is nuclearly unpopular with young people, the ones who might actually have to serve in it. But the actual boomer crowd, who were the majority, were fully on board with Iran and MAGA, and they think that it's everything's going great, and we're going to win in the midterms, and they're kind of locked in that Fox News mindset, away from reality. So there's a real, the chasm between the older boomer conservatives and the next generation couldn't be more disparate than it is right now. Would you say CPAC the audience was older this year than usual? Because my memory of CPAC is usually it's a lot of younger people, and as you say, these are people that were still pro-Trump, but it's like when the polls that Trump was saying the other day would come out, and everyone who says they're MAGA supports the war. It's like, yeah, but that's the selection that's going on here. If you didn't support what he's doing, you wouldn't be there. But did you think the demographics seem like they've shifted at CPAC this year? Yeah, I think there was probably more older people than usual. Yeah. There was a contingency of young people who, kind of the same faces that you see come to all these different things. And it was cool to have a lot, our core people at the event, hanging out with a good roster of solid patriots. We had Alex Stein showed up, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, cool.
So we had some cool people there, and it was cool that they were able to mingle with our core followers. We were able to get some of those new people to show up too. But it seemed like kind of more of just people from kind of boomer conservatives from Texas who decided to show up. And there were few, not the heavy hitter VIP type people as before. My overall takeaway is that CPAC has kind of been overshadowed by Turning Point, Student Action Summit as the thing that young people want to go to, and then America Fest every year in Phoenix has become the premier event. So I feel like it's shifted away from CPAC, but I think probably moving to Texas was probably a good idea for them, because I can tell you, as a guy who goes to these conferences, nothing I hate more than going to not just DC, but National Harbor, Maryland, this weird, offshoot suburb type thing, gentrified suburb. It's always the worst place to go to for the conference. So I think moving it to Dallas is probably a good move to keep it going beyond this year and in the future. But it's definitely not what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, should I go back to when CPAC was at the Omni in over there by in Northwest? But DC.
Yeah, back in 2011 when we were
anytime we don't have to go
winning the straw poll for Ron Paul back in the day.
Yeah, the good days. Speaking of that, by the way, so I saw Rand is starting to publicly toy with running for president, which I gotta say,
bad idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like Massey better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rand's a great guy. He's my favorite U.S. senator, bar none. He does not know how to throw a punch, and that's just the problem. I mean,
and something about him is kind of off-putting to the voters, kind of like Ron DeSantis when he ran for president, kind of had that anti-charisma. I think Rand has some of that too. Whereas Massey, I think he comes off more folksy, like Ron Paul did. And I think with the momentum behind Massey, if hopefully, he'll win the primary, winning that primary, getting the Epstein files law passed, even though it's, obviously not been complied with to its full extent, but having the momentum of those wins behind him, I think would make him a much more viable candidate. Probably not to win the primary, but could he show up and get, 20% of the support and cause a lot of damage to the establishment, kind of like how Ron Paul did in 2008 and 2012. I think he would be the guy who could do that, but Rand, I don't think would catch on at all.
Yeah, I remember when Rand first, it was the first time he ran for president, or it's the first time he got elected to Senate, but he was talking about what he called the penny plan, which was like just cut 1% of the federal budget, and the budget will balance in a couple of years. Now he put it out, it's called the 6 penny plan, because you got to cut 6%, it'll balance in like 6 decades or something. Like the situation's just so much worse. And Rand, I mean, like I said, by far the best U.S. senator, but that's not saying much, first of all. And then also, like, what people need right now is someone's like, burn this shit down, like we don't need I got my 6 penny plan, or just doesn't seem like the right fit for the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Massey just going in there, slash and burn, just letting it loose. That's the way, or MTG as well. I think those would be probably the 2 best possible anti-establishment candidates who could arise in 2028.
Yeah. Mark says my favorite CPAC speaker was Rush Limbaugh. I really miss him. Also, big fan of Ron Paul. Rush Limbaugh and Ron Paul are Titans. Yeah. Well, Ron Paul, and Ron's, God, he must be, I think he's 90 now, I believe.
He's 90.
Yeah. So
even
Ron, hard to imagine, like, I first got involved in politics, in the GOP politics was 2007. It's been almost 20 years ago now. That's crazy.
Yeah, Rand's now approaching the age that Ron Paul was when he first ran for president. Maybe he's got like 10 more years, but he's getting up to his father's age now. It's been so long. One of the cool things that I saw is that Joe Kent is going to be speaking at the Ron Paul Institute, their annual summit. He's going to be one of the featured speakers there.
Very cool.
And MTG, so it's going to be.
What's your, by the way, you were, because Dennis as my he was my guest last week. So what's your thoughts on the whole Joe Kent thing? Because that just happened this week before last. So what do you think about Joe Kent?
I think that obviously they're running his name through the dirt because they don't like the credibility of what he has to say. I think in the past what he did kind of posture as being too hawkish, like you have him saying Israel's our greatest ally when he was on the campaign trail, and talking about Iran being a serious threat, and people use that against him. But I think right now it's really tough to. You look at what he's saying; it makes a lot of sense, and opposing the what's been going on in Iran this time around in particular. I
would think if he said Israel's great and and all that stuff on the campaign trail, and now he's saying the opposite, to me it just means so he must have been that much harder for him to come around. To me that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean that's it doesn't show that he's been a malicious person. A malicious you're an anti-conservative, you're a libertarian, you're one of these things they like to throw at you when you dissent from the war party. He wasn't that. He was someone with a lot of credibility who went on all these different tours and lost his wife, and now he's a critic of the war machine. And he tried working in the system, but he was, shut out. He was put at the kiddie table with Tulsi Gabbard, and apparently kept out of all the decision-making process, which isn't surprising. But he was just going to be there and not be able to do anything, not be able to do an investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder, not be able to give counterterrorism advice during war talks. So he was obviously completely sidelined in the administration and did the right thing by resigning.
Yeah, I wonder, because I think, and I was talking with Dennis about this, because people were giving him a little bit of grief over, people thought he was giving Trump a pass, basically, saying Israel's behind this war and Trump can send up to Israel, but people were like, well, what about Trump's agency and all this? He clearly supports. And Kent's response was, well, that's not my place to decide. I'm not here to judge Trump. I want him to do the right thing. I think that's what he was doing, is desperately trying to, even now, still trying to get Trump to change course, which of course ain't going to happen. And I wonder how long Kent's going to continue to go this track of trying to get Trump to do the right thing before he decides, okay, fuck it, it's impossible. Let me start telling the dirty stories about what happened in Washington, because I'm sure he has some. I went to D.C., I worked in the Hill for a year, and I had a few stories after that, let's just say. You have to give it some time, because you don't want to throw your boss under the bus, but because you don't want to get a job future, you want to get another job at some point. But anyway, Trump himself had some things to say about Joe Kent. So here's Trump on his loyal supporter Joe Kent, who he nominated for the position and got confirmed by the Senate. Here's what Trump had to say.
Mr. President, do you know whether Joe Kent was leaking?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his truths or whatever he went on, if it's X or truth, if you look at his truths or his statements, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again, and he lost. I said, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him. He was pretty heartbroken.
This is Trump's story. But yeah, I gave the director of National Counterterrorism Center. I gave that job to someone out of pity for the guy, right? That's who I picked for my national counterterrorism chief. Is just a poor schmuck. That's what Trump has to say about him. Let's let Trump continue to dig a grave for himself here.
It's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. Smart. They gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me. Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much. Think of it.
Yeah. It was not. This is how Trump thinks of everything. The guy quits because he's trying to stop a war, and the attitude is, how dare he hurt my feelings? And then to say he remarried early, like to imply like the guy didn't grieve for the wife that was killed in the war. And by the way, remarried early, 4.5 fucking years. That's how long Joe Kent was before Joe Kent remarried. What a scumbag! What a monster!
Yeah, I mean, I think he's being controlled. He's not getting the right information, obviously, from his handlers. And if you saw, I think it was yesterday, where he said, you got to watch Mark Levin to hear about why we need to hit Iran hard. And it was, it was like Bush, yellow cake uranium, weapons of mass destruction tier nonsense propaganda, just total drivel. And this is apparently what is driving foreign policy for Trump. So it's very, very, very dark time for our country.
I think Trump just has these perverse instincts. Oh, someone quit, attack. That's just all there is to it. Oh, someone quit for some kind of reason. I must destroy him. Like that's his mentality, because you don't want anybody else to quit. That's the idea. But I mean, it's by definition immoral. But that's what Trump is. Anyway, let's before we go back to talking about Trump and Iran and all that other kind of stuff. Talking about, so you left CPAC early because you had to go to the state convention, which I also did not attend, by the way. Mark, I see he missed me at convention. I'm sorry, Mark. If nothing else, I would have liked to have gone just to see some of my friends there, but that's a big ask, guys. State convention is so boring. But I heard this one was relatively uneventful compared to most of them. But I don't know, Shane, why don't you give us the rundown? Because you actually were there. You did go to state convention. So we have for AG and SOS, or we have endorsed candidates, which maybe there's a distinction. But anyway, go ahead, Shane. What's your take?
Yeah, it was, uneventful, and there wasn't, people at each other's throats like before, but I wouldn't necessarily take it as a good thing. I think it's like kind of a lack of enthusiasm. The total of people there was low. There was not, most of the seats people were running for, it was unopposed. Not many people who want to even run at this point. So
I can't remember a state convention where there was more than one or two races that were uncontested, but this time the only contests were for AG and SOS. There was exactly 2 candidates for university boards, exactly 2 candidates for Supreme Court, exactly 2 for State Board of Ed. Not much to vote on this time.
Yeah, it was. So it was kind of uneventful. The 2 candidates who won for AG was Doug Lloyd and it was Doug Lloyd, and for SOS was Anthony Forlini. I think the talking point was they're the most electable. We'll see how if any Republican is electable in the state of Michigan with who the top of the ticket's probably going to be. I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, my attitude was, first of all, I think everyone's going to get wiped out in November, no matter who it is. I didn't think strongly enough about any one candidate. My attitude was, if there's a candidate I like in this race, I hope they lose. They don't have to waste another 7 months of their life. Because, that might be harsh. That might be dooming in disguise. Sorry if that's what it was. I don't know. Patty says convention was drawn out as usual, but it was awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, that's some high praise. Patty, you're welcome to hop on. It's the usual link if you want to give us your take on things too, by the way.
I mean, if you look at Forlini's record when he was a state rep, it wasn't anything to write home about. He kind of went along to get along with during the Snyder days when they were raising government budgets and expanding Medicaid and passing tax hikes and Detroit bailouts, et cetera, et cetera. So it is what it is, but I just don't see the enthusiasm. I don't see the enthusiasm, and it's kind of like a dead zone compared to what it used to be. And the activist base is not going to move mountains, I don't think, to overcome the huge challenges that we have with young people abandoning the movement, independents abandoning the movement. Those are the people that we need to show up and vote Republican this year. I don't see it happening whether we put in other candidates for SOS or AG or put in these guys. Barring some sort of really seismic turn of events, I don't think it's going to go too well for Republicans in November.
Yeah, Forlini is a county clerk, and what's the guy's name? Ford.
Doug Lloyd. He's
Lloyd, that's right. Yeah, he's an Eaton County prosecutor.
Yes.
So local prosecutor, local clerk. I think the idea was, they've got some experience winning elections, maybe the safer, more pragmatic pick, as opposed to, say, DePerno and Caramo, who had never won an election before. Maybe that was a risky bet, and then this year they wouldn't want to take any chances. So I don't know. Jason Mickelborg asks, who brought in the ranked choice voting vendor, and what is a rhino? Well, I have to assume that our ranked choice voting vendor just paid to be a vendor, right? Isn't that how that would have gone? I would imagine, which, frankly, if I'm hosting an event, I'll take whoever's money to do these things. How many events have you been to, Shane, sponsored by the Convention of States, who just it seems like the organization just exists to spend money to be at these events holding their booths?
Yeah. So, there's, been vendors like that. I've never supported Convention of States. I know a lot of the activists who are involved in it. They mean well, they're good constitutional type people, but they kind of got roped in. And, Mark Levin, Mr. Convention of States, wrote all the books about it. Of course, the constitutional expert, Mark Levin, the foreign policy expert as well for the Trump administration. So, I think they've been led down a primrose path for COS. And I saw those RCV people, the ranked choice voting. Now they're calling it instant runoff voting.
That's what I used to know. That's what I always thought it was called. Like I remember it being called that like 20 years ago. I thought the ranked choice voting was a newer name, but yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe they're going back to instant runoff because ranked choice, the well's been poisoned about that because of how bad it's been in like Alaska and Maine and other places. Yeah. So, so when the people came over and introduced themselves to me, I thought initially that they were against ranked choice. And I was kind of shocked that they were for it. So it was peculiar to me that they were there. But as you said, I don't think they were they rolled out a red carpet for them. I think they probably paid the fee and got the table. That's what happened with me. There were some people there who weren't happy with my table for the Republican Cannabis Caucus. Probably wouldn't want me there either. But paid the fee, showed up there and got a good amount of signups from the pro cannabis people who are Republicans. So growing that niche, but so my assumption as well would be that they paid the fee and that's why they got the table.
Yeah, I saw a photo of some kind of drag queen at CPAC that was going around on X. I figure it probably paid the fee. So I don't know. And as to the question of what is a rhino, which of course is Republican in name only, but I think
we could get that would
take more time than going through the whole Convention of States spiel. So
that would be opening a can of worms.
Yeah,
hey, we're all on the same team till November, right?
Yeah. Paula says the
Republican victory team.
Paula says the woman became a Democrat who brought in the ranked choice voting, but whatever. Mark also says, in his opinion, Doug and Anthony will win. Look, Mark, by the way, I have nothing against them. Like, I hope they win. I certainly don't want the Democrats to win. But I mean, I just kind of look at the trend lines here. This is the rolling average of presidential approval polls for Trump. He has hit the record low like 5 times in the past week. Up to now, today is the lowest ever, minus 15.8. And this is the average of polls. So obviously some are showing worse than that even. But this is, this is not going to turn around as gas prices get higher and higher and higher. That's not going to happen. But anyway.
Yeah, and Trump was on TV. Trump was on TV saying, "I got 100% approval. No one has this approval in history." And I guess like 100% of MAGA approves of him, which to be MAGA, you have to approve of them. It's kind of a self-evident poll. But, the fact that he's touting that poll suggests that he's not being given the correct information. Now, probably there should be some discernment. He should probably request more information if a diverse amount of polling to kind of get a good read on it. But it doesn't seem like he is, and it shows.
I mean, I have to believe that this is all spin, and Trump has to. I mean, it's hard to believe that Trump, who was, in his campaign, certainly kept his ear to the ground, knew what the grassroots was thinking constantly. It's hard for me to believe that he's just absolutely clueless as to what's going on. I think the attitude is like, we have to do something about this, but once we get the Iran situation behind us, everything will sort itself out later. I think that's what he might think. But anyway, before we get to Iran, because that's going to be a topic, but there was another big story this week. Well, there was a story anyway. That was another, let's call him a Republican, although I don't really know if Michael Bouchard, the sheriff of Oakland County, is genuinely any kind of Republican. In fact, as an aside, when I did John Riley's recount when he ran for state house, we got to look at all the ballots and we got to see, because the people who voted on both sides of the ballot all got disqualified because you're not supposed to vote on both sides of a primary ballot. There were a lot of Democrats that voted for Mike Bouchard on the Republican side, even though he was unopposed on that side of the ticket, just because they liked Bouchard so much. So he's been around. He's been a sheriff since what, forever? I mean, how long?
Yeah, he's the only guy in Oakland County who's, nominally a Republican, who's been able to retain power as the entire county's gone basically deep blue over the past 6 to 8 years. So
Yeah.
he's basically the only one hanging on, and this is the type of Republican he is. You'll see the.
I was going to say probably just because he probably just does all he can to please the Democrats, and Republicans don't care because he's a Republican on the ballot. We like him, he's going to help us win, so that's all they probably care about. But anyway, yes. So Michael Bouchard has this news conference. He is talking about the attack at the synagogue in Oakland County, which is weird because it happened several weeks ago and there was no fatalities except for the shooter. But for some reason, he's still talking about this incident, and he brings up this amazing story. Here we go.
I give you this by way of example. Some pond scum felt empowered and emboldened enough to put this picture of me up to try to threaten and intimidate me, which of course he didn't do because I signed up for this. And by the way, the person that did this said a bunch of terrible things, not just against me, but against a lot of groups and individuals, who, by the way, was arrested today in Wisconsin. My point is this, though. If this person is emboldened and empowered enough or feels safe enough to do this for me, what does he do to a kid? What does he do to a Jewish family walking down the street? And that's because of the normalization of this, watching this on television and saying, okay, I feel empowered enough that I can do this.
Wait, what? I mean, we have to break this down. But first off, the normalization of what? What do you think was like people watching a synagogue mass shooter on TV and they're like, oh, I guess that's normal now? Like, what in the world is he even talking about? But anyway, here's the point that's really important. Here we go.
Well, A, you can't. And B,
okay, right.
If you think you can do this,
you wanted to hear it again.
Well, A, you can't. Television and saying, okay, I feel empowered enough that I can do this.
Now, do this. He's pointing at this meme of him where they've put the Star of David on his forehead. They looks like they might have given him those Orthodox Jewish curly hair things they have. I don't know what those are called. And looks like they also made his cheeks fatter too. But anyway, so he says you can't do this.
Well, A, you can't. And B, if you think you can do it to somebody that's in law enforcement, again, what are you going to do in an alley or in a street to a Jewish family or a kid walking down the street? Now,
okay, so a number of things. First off, notice he started off by saying, this guy was trying to intimidate me with his speech. It's not going to work because I'm a cop. I signed up for this. And then he casually mentions that the guy was arrested because he had him arrested because he called the Wisconsin police had him picked up on a warrant, apparently. So he actually was afraid of this guy because he had him arrested.
So have we found out who this guy is and what his arrest?
I don't know if I saw his name. Apparently, he had other warrants and he had some kind of restraining order. Which, again, who knows? B, that's not the point. The point is what he did. I mean, clearly, he points at the wall. He says, "You see that picture of me with the Star of David on my forehead? That's you can't do that." Now, when a cop says you can't do that, that's implying it's illegal. And of course, it is absolutely, I mean, lampooning politicians is the essence of the First Amendment. That's what this guy was that's what this sheriff, who should know better, was criticizing him over. So
it's also worth noting that Sheriff Bouchard, this was over 10 years ago now, he was the first sheriff, I believe, nationally, who brought in the hailstorm devices that in a blanket manner combs through the cell phone data of all people in a given region. He brought those off the fields of Iraq and Afghanistan and brought them in to Oakland County and started using them on the public. So this is a guy who doesn't support the Fourth Amendment, doesn't support the First Amendment. And, he's been a guy who is no friend of the Second Amendment either. He's actually come out in favor of red flag laws. So he's not a constitutional sheriff, and that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, since you mentioned it, Great Lakes Gun Rights posted great opportunity to remind the gun rights community that this quote unquote Republican carried water for anti-gun Democrats back in 2023 when they rammed the red flag that's when they take away your gun rights without giving you a due process. Well, they consider it due process. You don't get a hearing with your ability to even know about it, let alone defend yourself. Universal permit to purchase and mandatory storage laws down our throats. Yeah, Mike Bouchard supported all of those things. So Bouchard, literally spoke in support, or no, submitted written testimony in support of the Democrats' anti-gun bills. So yeah, Mike Bouchard, enemy of the First Amendment, enemy of the Second Amendment, and he has now had to discover that there is something called the Streisand effect, which is that when you tell people they can't say something about you, they tend to say more of those things. So that was the meme that somebody made up and posted on X, and of course I reposted it. Everyone should be reposting this now. Once this cop threatened your free speech, he threatened all of our free speech. That alone should qualify you for infinite, endless mockery. And by the way, I saw this is even better. There's an ammunition company based in Oakland County, Phoenix Ammunition, based as fuck, starts stamping Mike Bouchard's meme on their ammo. That's pretty great. He wrote, "Free speech is non-negotiable. The Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. We will not be told what memes are allowed by some government bootlicker. Fuck off and enjoy your time in the limelight." And by the way, speaking as someone who is actually a quarter Jewish, I don't give a fuck that they put this. They put a Star of David on the guy's forehead. So what? What does that have to do with anything? This is not about Israel. This is not about Judaism. This is about free speech. Period. And your right to make fun of politicians, which is not threatening.
But it goes along with the broader agenda of any sort of speech that's quote unquote anti-Semitic. That's a terrorist threat. That's something that needs to be shut down. If you're on campus, you'll be charged with a crime. If you deliver a pamphlet on someone's door and it's determined that is quote unquote hateful, you'll be arrested in the so-called free state of Florida, according to the law that Governor Ron DeSantis signed in Israel. So you're seeing, the Republicans who are supposedly against cancel culture do a 180 on it when it pertains to the state of Israel, who is, obviously very influential in dictating the policy, particularly the foreign policies pushed by Republicans. So it's a sad state of affairs and shows that, the Republicans are hypocritical on speech and will not defend the First Amendment consistently.
Yeah, and here's why this is so dangerous. I mentioned this last week. I'll mention it again. It's that important. This is Senate Bill 502, which just passed the Senate unanimously with 0 Republicans opposed, even those that should know better, Jim Runstead, Jonathan Lindsay. And what this bill says is that it now makes it a crime of making a terror threat if you should have known it would be viewed as threatening violence. That if people think you're threatening violence, even if they're stupid or insane or partisan, as for example, Mike Bouchard just now we saw on tape just did. Oh, this guy tried to intimidate me. I want to lock him up for making a terrorist threat for 20 years, a 20-year felony. This is how dangerous this is.
Lucas Gerhardt would be in prison if this law was in effect when he was undergoing his ideal, where he said, I have a gun. The snowflakes are going to melt because they're triggered. That was perceived as a terrorist threat. So this law would.
I think it probably would have prevailed ultimately. But even still, you're right. It makes it harder. It makes it more dangerous. It is a chilling effect on conservative speech. Speaking of which, Jason, I don't know what this is in reference to, Jason, but that's pretty bad timing of you right there. This is the difference between a Democrat and a Libertarian right here. Caring about the First and Second Amendments. That's like the big distinction right there for you.
Yes, they call it the uniparty. They mean the Democrat and the Republican parties are the same. When that term is typically used, doesn't have much to do with libertarians who have virtually no influence on politics, as our constitutional rights are tread upon constantly by members of the Republican and Democrat parties working in unison, funded by the same special interest groups. That's how the system works.
Yeah. Anyway, now I actually this was the Oakland County Sheriff's Office post because obviously they got a lot of pushback. There's been a lot of noise and misinformation about what was said about our anti-Semitism press conference. Let us be clear. People of all faiths, blah, 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 blah. Posting the image was not a crime and it was not treated as one. Yes, it was. We saw what he just said. So now they come out and they're trying to say that, oh, well, he wasn't arrested for that statement. He was arrested for other warrants. But they clearly implied that what he said was illegal, for one. And actually, this note got approved. Apparently, they somehow got it unapproved because I actually have a screenshot of it having gotten approved and having gotten tens of thousands of views. Bouchard said he felt some pound scum and felt empowered and bold enough to put the picture of me up and that you can't do this. He clearly did the post as unlawful and implied the suspect was arrested for the post. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, this actually, this is my note, and it had been approved. I have a screenshot of it someplace. Just as I go live, it suddenly turns out it's been now taken back down again, which is irritating. But anyway, is what it is. By the way, that Phoenix Ammunition guy was apparently, I don't know if you saw him at CPAC, Shane, but he was there. Apparently, he was posting from CPAC.
Oh yeah, I know him. He's
oh, you do?
He's in the, yeah, I mean, I buy ammo from him. We used to have some Pro 2A events actually at the place where he manufactures the ammo in Novi. So cool. He's a cool dude, and some of the best content you'll ever see on X comes from Justin at Phoenix Ammo. Yeah,
there you go. Well, anyway, so this is the picture I ultimately used for tonight's thumbnail. Although I'll tell you, I had a funny excursion with Grok trying to make a Photoshop of him in a Hitler mustache, which the funny thing is, this is an interesting, it's interesting because this shows you how Grok will lie to you. So I try to give Grok the prompt, make this hair darker, make it a comb over, receding hairline, add a mustache only covers his filter, and Grok knows what I'm doing. So it gives me this. So I'm like, okay, let's try this again. Dark but not black, hairstyle part on the right side, under his left eye, closely cropped eyes, add a toothbrush mustache. So okay, we don't get the mustache, of course, but we kind of got the Hitler thing, but the part's the wrong way. Hitler parted his hair the other direction, okay? So I'm like, all right, let's try this again. But now I figure, okay, you see here what I said? I said hairstyle part on the right side, his right side falling towards his left eye, trying to get the Hitler part correct, So it didn't work. It goes the wrong direction. So I'm like, okay, let me just reverse it. Maybe this will do the trick. How about a part on his left side? Nope, still wrong. Still back.
They're like giving him like an emo do instead of the Hitler do.
Yeah, they keep changing it a little bit, but it's gonna get close. But my real gripe is, how do I get the direction right? So I try to give more specific directions, still the wrong direction, reverse the direction. Nope, same direction. No, that's the same direction. Here's the corrected version. Nope, that's still the same direction. Here it is again, still wrong. No, you're making the hair longer and not reversing the direction. Here's the corrected version. Now it's reversed. Now part on the subject's right side, which appears on the left side. Hairline kept the same. However, you see what they've done is they have reversed the whole image. Look, because now they have his what do you call those things? The ribbons are on the wrong side of his body here. So keep the part in that direction, make the hair on the top shorter, and then they've screwed up. So I'm like, okay, let's go back to the beginning. No, reverse the part again, made the hair too short. Now it's backwards again. Still on the wrong side. I've not yet given up on this. I keep doing this. Are you deliberately refusing to reverse the part? No, I'm not refusing. The edits keep flipping because I'm stupid. Blah, 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 blah. No, the same direction. Keep refusing. No, I'm not refusing. I'm not refusing. Here's the reverse one you requested. Still backwards. Okay. So now I try this. I have now mirrored the photo, the original photo. You see, I've mirrored it. You see, Sheriff is on backwards. You're going to give it to me in the wrong direction? Give it to me in the wrong direction. I'll unmirror it. I'll put it back, right? Oh, look. Look, now it's the right direction. No, do it the other. Now it's the right direction. You see what they did? They knew that I mirrored the image, and they are still over the damn direction of Hitler's part, not letting me do it. They give me this bullshit explanations, this bullshit excuses. I'm sorry. It looks like your message got cut off. You're still saying the wrong side. I'll re-edit. You still didn't change the part. And this goes, we go on. I finally give up. Grok seems to apologize. It's lying and lying and lying and lying and lying. So there you go. Now, I did actually finally kind of get it okay. So I'll show you what my final what my final version was, and this was going to be the thumbnail for tonight. I ultimately decided it was just gonna be too confusing for people because we're talking about, this so-called anti-Semitic hate crime thing, and it was probably confusing. But I did finally. Again, I've now mirrored the thing 3 times, stapled his head onto the different body. The sting is still the wrong direction, but it kind of looks like Hitler thing. And I did the mustache myself. So anyway, fuck Grok and their little secret covert censorship, and then lying about it, because now you see how they do it. Mark says I have too much time on my hands. I'm just having fun, just having some fun, and we're learning how AI, how deceitful and deceptive it can be, right? Because Mr. Elon Musk kept on saying, "Oh, X is not going to be like these other AIs." It's like bullshit. As soon as with the Iran war started, you started covering up all the bodies, all the casualties, all the Iranian propaganda you're filtering out. We know what Elon Musk is up to. So anyway, all right, that was my rant about Grok and Elon Musk. And if you want to make someone have a Hitler mustache and a Hitler haircut, you got to do it yourself, the old-fashioned way. So there you go, guys.
The old-fashioned way through Photoshop.
Yep. So anyway. All right, we should at least probably hold on before we start talking about the Iran stuff. Let's just make sure I haven't completely forgotten some other things. Oh yeah, the new White House app. Speaking of science and technology, you guys see the new White House app? In case you don't get enough AI generated slop from the White House being force fed to you on X already. You can download their app, although as it turns out, these are the things that the app actually requests that you share with it, and it's more than a few things. It is just these minor things here. To make this bigger, this is making it worse. Access precise location, approximate location, modify, delete the contents of your storage, run a foreground service, can appear on top of other apps, run a startup automatically without your permission, read badge notifications, check your network connections, view your Wi-Fi connections, prevent your phone from sleeping, use your fingerprint hardware to read your fingerprints, show you your notifications, receive data from the internet, control your vibrations, have full network access, and use biometric hardware. All of that so you can get some free AI slop straight from the White House. Boy, where do I sign up? So, yeah, that's the White House's new app for you in case you need to get your your daily explosions sent to your phone, and you don't want to just use X to do it. You can use that too. Although some people actually did find out, I'm trying to find the post of this now. They actually do ping your location like every 5 minutes and see where you are. It's crazy.
Did you see Melania with the robots?
Yeah, I did see that. I don't have the clip of that handy. But yeah, Melania walked up.
Oh man,
you couldn't tell which was which. Yeah, very aggravating. If I can find that other. Oh, here we go. So yeah, this is the source code inside the White House app. It uses one signal's full GPS pipeline, pulling your location every 4.5 minutes, syncing your exact coordinates to a third-party server. So there you go, guys. If you want to, and it's good. Yeah, they got noted. Yeah, that's the White House app for you. Matt Petrie, Patty P. Can't believe I didn't. Oh, he's talking to another person on Facebook watching the show. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the White House app for you. All right, what else are we going to talk about besides Trump and Iran, or is it time to talk about Trump and Iran? Maybe.
Or check the private chat. So this video is what they showed. This was the hype video that they showed at convention from the Michigan House Republicans.
Oh, here we
we're
go.
Talking about AI slop and AI cringe. This is up there with anything you could imagine. Yeah, this is
all right. Here we go. Is there audio? How do I turn the audio on? There must be some way to turn the audio on.
It's probably muted.
There.
It's tournament time in Michigan. Whose team are you on? Whitmer, Brinks, and the Radical Left? Or Speaker Matt Hall and the House Republicans? With Democrats leading Michigan, taxpayers have been stuck funding a losing bracket. Ghost employees, empty state office buildings, waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, House Republicans led by Speaker Matt Hall are denying wasteful spending, blocking ghost employees. Now, Michiganders get more value for their dollars, running offense on fraud, responsible streamlined budgeting, putting tax dollars to work, fixing potholes and funding local roads, and common sense policies, keeping cell phones out of classrooms, safer communities with the Public Safety Trust Fund, because Michigan workers and families deserve to win again. Matt Hall and your Republican majority in the House are scoring for Michigan, cutting waste, fixing roads, and making Michigan government work for you again. House Republicans advancing solutions for Michigan. It's tournament time in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very gay, and you know, and the crowd goes mild at convention.
Why do they keep? You notice how they kept name dropping Matt Hall over and over again? Like, I don't know if I haven't been getting him in a long time.
Our dear leader.
I used to get these emails.
Matt Hall reduced the budget from 82 billion to 81 billion. He's a fiscally conservative Euro.
Yeah. What's up with Matt Maddox being buddy with Matt Hall all of a sudden? They used to hate each other.
We got the vice chair of approps, the vaunted position of vice chair of approps. So now they're buddy.
I guess he figured that his time is running low.
Remember what they said in Fackle. You know, they'll give you some position of middling to no authority to get you on board with the agenda, and hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Oh well, whatever. Anyway, not going to make any difference anyway. But it is what it is.
Yeah, not like any of it matters.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we've been avoiding this topic all show. Let's talk about the latest situation with Iran. I know it's supposed to pronounce Iran, although I often say Iran anyway, but you know. So another week. We're now a full month in. Absolutely no signs whatsoever. I'm sorry. I've apparently not been listening to our Supreme Leader, Donald J. Trump. He's been informing us that this excursion is over. We have destroyed the Iranians militarily. We've defeated them. They're all so dead. We have nobody to talk to except for the secret talks we've been having with some unnamed person, with some unnamed deal. We've been getting a lot of unnamed concessions. Oh, wait, the concessions have been named now. It was 10 oil tankers full of oil destined for China someplace. Oil that was paid for and brokered by the countries that bought the oil that paid Iran's fee to remove them from the Strait of Hormuz. Like, there's no connection whatsoever between what Trump says and what reality is. It's just insane. It's like, do you think nobody knows like what in the world is going on?
It's just the only question is, you know, is he knowingly lying, or is this what he's being told by the likes of, you know, Marco Rubio, Susie Wiles? Are they telling him that we're really progressing well in these talks when obviously they're not happening?
Yeah, there was a story this week from someone, who knows if it's true or not, but the story was that instead of getting daily 5-page written briefings, they just play like a 2-minute clip of Trump watching things, or they play for Trump a clip of just big explosions in Iran. Here we blew this up, we blew that up, we blew this up, and therefore, like, that means we're winning or something. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think with the advent of Truth Social, you know, Trump used to have kind of a pipeline to the base when he was on X a lot, all the time. I think that it was harder for him to be completely dislodged from reality. That's no longer the case. And, you know, Fox News is obviously very influential in President Trump's thinking. So getting Tucker Carlson off of Fox News was a big propaganda win for the neocons, because now Trump gets nothing except pure propaganda when he's watching Fox News all day.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to realize, like, okay, we said our goal was we were going to overthrow the Iranian regime, and they're still there. Like, who's the Supreme Leader again? Ayatollah Khamenei. Huh. That sounds like the guy that we murdered 4 weeks ago. Ayatollah Khamenei. Huh. I mean, like, does it not register that things are not going the way they said they were going to go. I mean, clearly, we know there's at least 2,500 Marines that are already there. Apparently, there's like tens of thousands that are either shipping out now or close to getting there. I mean, it looks to me this is where I think this is going next, because you could mostly say this week's been a stalemate, which is already a bad sign for Trump. But I've seen lots of explosions of infrastructure all over the Middle East, lots of explosions in Israel, more American military hardware getting blown the fuck up all over our military bases. Like, again, one of those things that surely Trump realizes he's got to be hearing, like, our military base in Iraq has been completely overrun. Our military base in Kuwait's been completely overrun. Like, and then there's, tons and tons of videos of, Iranian civilians. Apparently they hit the Manab school again, the school that they double tapped, the worst war crime in our history. Well, probably not the worst, but a terrible war crime. They bombed the school again this week, the same school. So anyway, here's what I think is going on. I think the next thing Trump is trying to do, I think they're amassing forces now, is Operation Super Duper Epic Fury. It's going to be bomb the shit out of them with everything we've got, activate all CIA resources at the same time, land invasion, try to do something with the Marines, just try to hit them with everything we possibly can. That's what seems to be what's on the horizon now, is like Super Duper Epic Fury. I think that's what they're cooking up right now.
Well, I mean, is there any, how would removing ourselves from the situation even look now? It just feels like it's past the point of no return. There's, no extricating ourselves from it.
No.
Israel's going to keep going. We're too tied to Israel to ever not back them and do everything that they want us to do 100%. So I just don't see any way out for us.
That's why I say that's what's going to happen too, because for all the bullshit gibberish from Trump, if you want to know what Trump will actually do, it will be what Israel wants him to do. It'll be what Israel tells him to do. That's what they're telling him is you got to hit it. You got to hit it, run harder, hit him with everything you've got, because Israel's objective is get us into the war to the point where we can't get out, which we might already be in that point. Robert Pape called it the escalation trap. Once Marines are dying in Iran, and you're right. There's no good option for Trump now. Nothing that would not be humiliating. If we walked home, they'd be like, okay, we just gave Iran total control of the Strait of Hormuz. We have just removed our forces from all over the Middle East, and Israel is going to continue to get hit. So it's not like you can just walk away and pretend like nothing ever happened. Sorry, you were.
Yeah, it seems like, also Israel, now that we're going after Iran and taking out their number one top enemy in the region, they're freed up to do more hellish bombing campaigns in Lebanon, do more ethnically cleansing of these regions in the area. So, Christians are under attack. You see how, Israel did not allow Palm Sunday processions to go this year. And, you'll see the likes of Ted Cruz defend that, supposed Christian.
Here's Ted Cruz saying the whole thing was his idea, apparently, among others, but he told Trump to do it. And here's Graham. I'll take Carrick Island, they say. We went over this with Dennis last week. How are you going to get there? How do you get to Carrick Island? It's in the Persian Gulf. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's unpopular. The public opinion of the state of Israel has never been lower in the United States. And this is when you launch a war that is obviously because Israel drew us into it. The administration's even admitted to it on several occasions, and it couldn't be more obvious. So this is just electoral poison heading into the midterms, and there's seemingly no way out.
Yeah. Well, the big development that was taking place this week also was, there was two. Yemen joined the fight on Iran's side, and also it sounds like the whole country of Iraq is basically going over to Iran's side too. And there was a bunch of people at the what's the term for it? It's not the supreme leader or the Ayatollah. Maybe it is the Ayatollah. The one in Iraq, and there was a bunch of Iraqis saying you need to join this fight too. Also,
well, isn't that kind of what happened after we invaded Iraq and gave them democracy? They democratically chose to be more like Iran because they didn't like the people who came in and quote unquote liberated them by dropping depleted uranium on them and killing hundreds of thousands of them. So it shouldn't surprise anyone that they would go more in Iran's direction during this war.
Yeah. Iran is mostly Shia, and then and Iraq is like kind of more or less equal parts Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish. But you know, what Iraq does not have is a plutocratic dictatorship that's owned by the West, the way these other Persian Gulf countries have, because of because we destroyed their whole government there. So, now the people might actually be the ones that end up, starting their own militia. This is a hilarious video that came out from Iraq this week. This is kind of hilarious. This is Iraqi cribs. Here we go.
Buddy, to Iraqi cribs, this is my tank. America left it behind, very high mileage. They invaded a lot of land with this. I use it for Uber Eats. I use it for DoorDash. Really bad idea. Very bad idea. No good gas mileage. I get about 60 feet per mile. Way too much spending. So please, I cannot pay this gas mileage. It is salvage title. So the tires need to be changed. Why does this look like a penis? I don't like this. It makes me look like I am not comfortable with my, I'm very bad to go on a date with this because it comes off too aggressive to your date. So please, if you swipe right on me and I come with this, don't judge. I need something 4-cylinder, Toyota Corolla, Ford Escort. Okay, please don't judge. If you want to buy it, please call me. Thank you very much. All the presidents that bought my country, this was worth it. Thank you for leaving your destruction behind. This is very much a good memory of the war. But
so, yeah. But in all seriousness, that was our tax dollars at work right there. That's what we've done. We've literally just abandoned military hardware. For how much money did we spend in Iraq? How many lives did we spend? How many soldiers' lives did we spend on that occupation from 2003 until like 2012? I think it was. Was that how long? I mean, technically, we never really officially left until now because we still had our base there. But for nothing, for absolutely nothing. Years and years, all the same bullshit. This will be over in a few weeks, months at the very most. Rumsfeld said. And then the occupation dragged on for years. What would our country be like? What would our national debt be like if we hadn't spent all that money for that stupid thing?
And remember, it was Israel who was providing us the intelligence. It was Benjamin Netanyahu who was propagandizing to get us to go to Iraq too. So none of it has changed. It's exactly the same. And it doesn't seem like many conservatives and Republicans have learned the right lessons because they've got the pom-poms out for the war effort again. But the American public is not 2002 anymore. Yeah. The public is sick of it, and they're going to be able to make their voices heard in November, and it's not going to be pretty.
No, I don't think it is. On that note, Mark says Team Red is awesome. I'll always be on Team Red. Look, Mark, I'm not on Team Blue. Okay, I don't want the Democrats to win. I know what they're going to do to us if they do. Problem is, the house is pretty messed up right now. It's pretty fucked up when this is what's going on, and frankly, yeah, these things are not going to bode well for us. Here's another example. This half-hearted psychological tricks they're trying to play. So the Iran parliament speaker, they're leaking propaganda. Oh, maybe he'll be our boy. He'll be the one. Who the idea being, let's get the Iranians to distrust him and all that, and they're like not falling for it at all. The guy's just been, in fact, he's been shit posting all week. It's kind of Iran's got some good AI game. They've got some good meme games going. In fact, then there was the one they also tried this week, which was to start a rumor the Ayatollah was gay. Give me a break. It's kind of embarrassing actually how we're getting.
They said the same thing. They said the same thing about Saddam. They always come out with stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all fucking tiresome. But the other thing too is it's not just that Trump is like in the dark. It's also that he's something is severely morally, spiritually wrong with him. Like every day he's like bragging about all the murders he's committing, how all the Iranian officials are dead, how we're just gonna he's been multiple times now been joking about how we blow up the boats instead of capturing them because it's more fun. Just insane, sick stuff. Anyway, I want to share. This is what you sent me. And this is an analysis from somebody in Washington, I guess. Let's see here. Who is this guy exactly? This comes from. It comes from this guy, Lawrence Friedman. So it's a British guy. So take that for what it's worth. But still, here's what he says. I'm sure he's got sources. It's hard to convey the gloom that has overtaken Washington. All the structures that are vital to crisis management have either been attenuated or disbanded. There is hardly anyone left on the National Security Council's staff. I believe that. A friend described an empty State Department where you could hear your own footsteps. I mean, to me, that sounds like a good thing, but
it would be if they weren't going to a giant new war.
Yeah, exactly. Marco Rubio is involved in the decision-making, but he is neglected to acquire the professional staff assessments that should inform such decisions. I'm not sure I agree with that, but it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't matter. The military part of the Pentagon still functions, but the civilian part has been purged. At its head is Pete Hegseth, who puts effort into looking charismatic and brings the perspective of a disgruntled junior officer to everything he does, waging his own war on woke, which in its latest version involves striking out the names of 2 black men and women for promotion in general, or 2 general, I mean. Some satisfaction saying that figures such as Elbridge Colby are supposedly providing the intellectual heft of security policy are now stuck defending exactly the interventions they were pledged to avoid. Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like basically Israel is an operation. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like we've completely offshored our entire national defense infrastructure to Israel. Because that's what this would look like, right? You know, one of the things I was saying many, many times over the course of the still ongoing Ukraine war is that when you see how Ukraine is getting ruined, you see what happens when a country is not in charge of its own military. Because Ukraine has like been geared this whole time towards PR and trying to get the Americans involved rather than to like protect the lives of their soldiers and not have the worst casualties they possibly can at any given time, because they're more concerned about the PR aspect and getting the Americans involved and getting more money than they are with winning the battle. This is what seems like it's happening in our country now, is that we're being led by a foreign country that doesn't care about our casualties, doesn't care about our financial losses, doesn't care about the second and third tier consequences of all the foreign relations we've destroyed. I mean, this is exactly what it looks like. And in fact, you know what else? I'll say this. The Gulf states are being put in the position right now that Ukraine is in. And if they take it, if they're led down that primrose path, and they make the same mistake Ukraine did, they're goners. Because that's what they're getting sucked into. Is you gotta support America. You gotta don't worry, we're gonna win the war for you. We've got your back. Same exact thing that Biden told Ukraine. Same exact play. If they fall for it, because that's what they really want to have happen, is that the Saudi people get burned through, in a perennial war with Iran. That's what they want, and that's what very well might happen. We'll see. But this is a debacle that is still only just starting, and I think it's going to have a very, very, very terrible ending. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see us being able to get out of it. Probably not before the midterms. Probably Iran's not going to want to. They're not going to want to negotiate until there's a new administration in place. And if this thing's still going on in 2028, I don't see any Republican winning, unless it's someone who's maybe a total repudiation of the foreign policy agenda that's right now being pushed by Trump, the neocon agenda that he was elected to not pursue. So I really don't think it's going to end until early 2029 because I just don't see there's any possible way that we can get out of it, and with how everything's gone thus far.
Yeah.
Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope so. But I think you're right. Mark asked when I run for office. Mark, have you seen my show? That's why. They'll play a few clips at the end of the show, and they'll be into that.
I think
that's the way
things
that
will have
goes.
to get things will have to get a lot worse before people like me and Adam are electable.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the right approach anyhow, frankly. You can do a lot more by controlling the political environment than you necessarily can just being a one vote in out of hundreds in Congress, or or dozens in Lansing. Anyway, I got another dank meme for you, and it's not from the War Department, but I thought this was pretty great, so I'm gonna play it for you guys. Here we go. The Iran War, the movie.
Sir, they're about to go nuclear. How long do we have?
Make this bigger.
They're 2 weeks away. How 2 weeks away are they? Even more 2 weeks away than they were 5 years ago. My God! That's dangerous levels of 2 weeks away. I know. Son, if anything happens to me, continue my work. We're only 2 weeks away. I will continue, inshallah. Now I'll go to where no one can find me. My office on the 3rd floor, right by that really big window. Vengeance! Sir, if we attack, they will close the Strait of Hormuz. They don't have the balls to close the Strait of Hormuz. They just closed the Strait of Hormuz. And oil is now over $100 a barrel. Please keep me out of this. No one likes this war. And I want to be president one day. Come on, send a boat or something.
You're the most powerful military in the world. You send your own boats.
That was a test. Ha! You fell right into my trap. Sometimes the best reason for war is no reason at all.
Anyway, you gotta laugh so you don't cry.
Star-studded cast.
Yeah. Someone said Judi Dench as Keir Starmer got me. It's pretty good. I don't know, man. I do know that this is a horrible situation, getting worse and worse and worse. And as for 2028, and this is absolutely terrifying, but I want to show you guys this. This is someone that posted this on some Democrat. Well, this is obviously from MSNBC or MS Now. Mark, no, that was not a real movie. It would be funny if it was. Someone should make it. But this is a screenshot from MSNBC, now known as MS Now, and there's their field of possible Democrat presidential candidates. And I was looking at this selection, and first, one thing I noticed is Ro Khanna's not on it, which is hilarious because Democrats have already ruled him out because he would not.
Of course,
he would not fit their bill. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Every single person on this list is a CIA operative, an Israel firster, a swamp creature, a left-wing lunatic, and a complete or complete moron. But Alyssa Slotkin is all 5 of those things. She's the only one that's all 5 of those things. It's going to be her, isn't it?
Could be.
It could be.
I think Ossoff is actually emerging as a pretty strong contender. He's been putting stuff out there that
I don't know. He did that one hearing with Tulsi. That's all I've seen of him.
Yeah, he's been putting stuff out there and seems kind of like a Buttigieg type, but with more credentials and less coming
gay.
off as a weirdo. Yeah, less gay Buttigieg, basically.
I did see some story where the Democrats are fighting about whether or not they're saying we need to run a white man this time because we tried Hillary, Didn't go so well. We tried Kamala, didn't go so well. It's completely foreign to them, the idea that they would actually, let their voters choose who's the most electable person, because God forbid who they might pick.
Yep.
And even when they did have the white guy, Joe Biden, they rigged that race for him. We remember how that went down. He got stomped in Iowa. He got stomped in New Hampshire. He won in South Carolina, and the entire Democratic establishment was like, okay, it's Joe Biden then. And that was the end of it.
They flipped the switch.
Yep. But yeah, CIA operatives. Let's see. You've got Alyssa Slotkin. You've got Rahm Emanuel, who's also from the, and he's also an Israeli intelligence operative too. You've got, I don't know if Mark Kelly has any intelligence ties. Who was the Democrat that just recently got called out for having a bunch of intelligence ties? I'm trying to remember now. No, it wasn't a Democrat. It was Mark Wayne Mullen. That's right, who got confirmed. Every Republican senator voted for him except for Rand Paul. There is a vote. There's a vote, Mark, where the Democrats were in the right and Republicans were in the wrong. And for that matter, the war powers resolutions, now that I think about it. There's at least a couple of things now with the Democrats. Now, again, only for partisan hackery purposes. They don't really support ending the war or anything like that. But the point being, you look at those votes, Democrats are in the right, and they're going to campaign on that. We're going to be. I remember when in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, the Democrats campaigned as the anti-war party.
That's why Obama got elected, campaigning against the wars.
Yeah, if you listen to him carefully, you'd realize he never actually was against the war, but he was a very slick operator. He was very good at kind of pretending he was. So, yeah, that's the way that went. But so be it. Very sad stuff. Let's see if I have any more clips or things. Oh, here's a funny one. This is from back in the day. This is I've been saying we're in a 20-year time loop. It's 2006 all over again. And here's a blast from the past. Remember this one, Shane? Hold on.
Black Bush.
Of the willing.
Black
I got
Bush.
40 nations ready to roll, son.
Like who?
Said that? Huh? Like who? England, Japan's sending PlayStations. Stankonia said they're willing to drop bombs over Baghdad. Ricky Rao is coming. Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation.
Yeah. I did actually see, apparently Uganda says they're going to send troops to support Israel into the Middle East. Yeah, right. So that's our coalition right there. United States, Israel, and Uganda. And the Saudis. What a fucking coalition. What a world, huh? Anyway, we shall see. We shall see where things go. I think that's more or less all the stuff I wanted to cover tonight. I know there's more. There always is, but we've gone through a lot of stuff. Let me just make sure there's nothing I didn't totally forget about. Oh, ICE funding. That's right. Yeah, ICE getting hung out to dry. Here's a question for you. So apparently, the other day, and Trump announced this by truth, of course, that because the Department of Homeland Security is not funded, but somehow ICE is getting paid and TSA is not. So Trump announced he is going to have ICE agents do the TSA's job at the airports, which leads to a question. How much training did the TSA agents actually need if you can just send ICE agents to do the job? I mean, I know they're not. I mean, they're kind of a similar thing, but they're really not. I mean, how many ICE agents
do we really even need TSA to begin with? Is it all just security?
Right. Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
And why should they make more than minimum wage? Like if a completely untrained ICE agent can do a TSA agent's job, why do we need to pay TSA more than minimum wage at all? Why are we paying ICE to do TSA's job instead of doing ICE's job? So apparently the Senate Republicans passed a funding bill. They somehow managed to pass funding bills for everything else. They saved DHS for last, I guess, just so that the Democrats could extort them over it. And then Democrats refused to fund ICE and refused to fund Customs and Border Patrol. So the Republicans, the conservative champions that they are, passed the DHS funding bill with the Democrats that just didn't fund ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. We're going to defund ICE. With the Republicans in the majority in the House and the Senate, we're going to defund ICE. That's insane.
Well, yeah, I mean, then you wonder why, Republican voter turnout's going to be depressed. They'll, of course, blame the grassroots. It was the handful of us who didn't go along and rah-rah strong enough for the war effort and say everything was handled well with Epstein and say Mike Rogers was a great candidate and John James was a great candidate. Will be blamed, of course, inevitably. But then you look at these, laundry lists of betrayals that are just turning people off. And those will be swept under the rug because, the establishment's in charge and too many in the quote unquote grassroots are now going along with that. So sad state of affairs.
Well, you know about my ICE challenge, Shane. Have you heard about that?
No.
So I mentioned on my show a few weeks ago, we've been trying to do my local GOP club. We're trying to do an event with a speaker from ICE. Because that'd be a great event, right? That'd be huge. We get tons of people to come to that. They want to hear about how ICE works, how the dangers of the job and how we're protecting America from blah, 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 all that kind of great stuff. We cannot get someone from ICE to speak to the public. Like, how bizarre is that? Like, you would think, obviously there'll be Democrat protesters, but they're the government. They can deal with that, right? They have infinite money. They shouldn't have a problem with security. No one wants to. They don't want to talk. They don't want to talk to anybody. I've tried everything, guys. I talked to Mike Cox the other day because his wife Laura used to work at ICE. No answer. I reissue my challenge to every single person watching this. I challenge you to organize an event with ICE. I contend it cannot be done. They will not appear before the American public. And what the fuck is this? If they can't speak up for themselves, no wonder they can't get funded. I mean, this is embarrassing.
And another thing is, they put Greg Bovino hung him out to dry.
Yeah, they did.
For actually trying to do mass deportations, which they're not doing anymore, and they're never going to do. But yeah, he gave a great talk at our event outside of CPAC in Dallas, and he's going around, he's talking, he's saying that everything that the Trump administration is doing on immigration is not working, and they're pulling the wool over our eyes, and he's talking very candidly about it, and God bless him.
Yeah, good for him. Too bad he's out of a job, but that's the way that seems to go, I guess. And it's all bad news, folks. I mean, again, if they won't defend themselves, why should we defend them? I mean, honestly, like what I saw the other day was the woman that was on Trump's Secret Service detail got in some trouble again. Apparently, she married an illegal alien woman. This was the woman that was blamed for the Butler failures, so she's in some trouble for marrying an illegal alien woman. And it's like, you know what? It's Trump's Secret Service. If he doesn't care about having competent people, if he doesn't fire her after Butler, why should we care? It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I don't think any changes were made at any level after the Butler failure. No questions were asked by anyone except, Tucker Carlson, he's a Qatar agent. He's out of MAGA. He's a bad guy for opposing the war in Iran. He's the only one who did any actual research or investigation on that and fell by the wayside. Kash Patel's happy to look the other way.
Yep. More election results this past week. Oh, look at that. Florida Senate District 14, Trump's home district, which had a Republican representative in the previous cycle, won by 11 points. Now it's flipped. Wonder why. Wonder if these things have any connection to policies at all. It's amazing. Trump endorsed North Carolina State Senate leader loses his primary. Huh, amazing. Had the incumbency advantage and everything. So, yeah.
Well, I think the good news is that the public is ready for change. They want new voices. They want new people. They want independence. And, if the Republican establishment, which unfortunately it seems like Trump has kind of glommed onto, or vice versa, if that goes down in flames in November, it's going to offer more opportunities for independent voices who aren't beholden to the foreign policy establishment and the special interests. So it might, it's going to be an ugly 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, however many years. But I think there's some trends that show there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. Yeah. There's, by the way, another one. Here's the military age being raised from 34 to 42. But weren't we talking about the military draft a few weeks ago, Shane? I think we were, because someone made a comment about my age. Well, there you go. I'm still too old, but nevertheless, they're looking for meat for the meat grinder. Here's another terrible poll. For the first time since Gallup began tracking it, more U.S. workers are struggling in life than thriving. A majority of employed people say they are struggling. So there you go. Not good signs, folks. These are not good signs.
Doesn't look like a golden age.
Yep. Here's another one for you. The governor of Oklahoma, now that the Republicans have appointed left-wing pro-amnesty nutcase Mark Wayne Mullen to head DHS. That's a great pick for you. Guy's pro-amnesty to head DHS. Now the governor of Oklahoma has gotten to appoint a replacement for the U.S. senator. Some states do it differently. In a lot of states, including Oklahoma, they let the governor appoint someone to the U.S. Senate who presumably will be in there for a very long time. And he appointed an energy executive who donated to Adam Kinzinger after he voted to impeach President Trump and joined the January 6th witch hunt committee. So there you go. You got someone who gave a big, fat financial attaboy to Adam Kinzinger for voting to impeach Trump. And again, why the fuck do we bother, guys? Trump appoints a DHS secretary who's pro-amnesty to be replaced by a never-Trumper in the U.S. Senate. Tell me again why I should care about Mike Rogers beating Alyssa Slotkin or whoever the Democrats are when these are the people that Trump puts into the U.S. Senate when he has the opportunity to. Absolutely. And somebody had a good point about why did Trump pick Mark Wayne Mullen? Because the only people he knows are members of Congress. He doesn't know anybody else. That's why. It's all swamp people. It's all his consultants know, swamp people. So anyway. One more thing. Speaking of Mark Wayne Mullen, I made a comment about this on X and I got this reply, and this goes to anyone. I'm looking at you, Jason, complaining about my Republican credentials after the Senate voted to confirm pro-amnesty Mark Wayne Mullen for DHS secretary to the cheers and applause from the senators. Remember, this guy also got cheered when Rand Paul's insane left-wing neighbor nearly beat him to death. I made this remark: no reason to vote Republican, at least not for federal office, because this is what they're doing. And so this clever person, Shannon Dietrich at Outlook.com, posts, because open borders, woke, DEI, trans, etc. is so much better? ? This is her way of, I guess, trying to shame me for saying this. Actually, Sharon, here's the thing. The mass murder of children in Iran, that is actually worse. Yeah. Woke stuff, yeah, that's bad. Woke, I'm not saying it's good. Woke is bad. Trans is bad. Mass murdering children, worse. Spending billions and billions of taxpayer dollars, causing global economic crises, global fertilizer shortages, and putting American soldiers' lives in harm's way. Some of them died already. A lot of injuries. Military equipment being destroyed permanently in some cases, things that can't be replaced. Radars, aircraft carriers. Yeah, this is actually worse. This is actually worse. So and
another thing, if the Democrats are doing it, I mean, it's not being perpetrated in our party's name. It's not being tied to our party with voters, and we're not losing voters permanently for generations because we're the ones sponsoring this kind of thing. So I think that's why, Trump got so much support from independents in 2025, is because people were sick of the how the deep state was being protected and this tranny stuff and the perceived, support of endless wars from Biden. The Ukraine thing happened on his watch. Now we're not talking about Ukraine, but Trump hasn't ended it. It continues. Iran continues. Even before Iran, Trump had dropped more bombs than the Biden administration did throughout his entire presidency. So now that these policies are going into place, you're going to get all that, open borders, DEI crap back with an absolute vengeance, barring, some kind of, radical realignment that, as we have discussed, just does not seem tenable at all.
Yeah. So to circle back to the theme of the show, the lost Republican soul, when Democrats are in power, we see with clarity. We see with clarity what Republican principles are, what America First values are, all that kind of stuff. When we're in power, war is great, killing is great, spying on people is great, civil liberties are a tool of the Democrats. We should be censoring speech we don't like. We should be appointing people that support amnesty to head DHS. This is the mess we've gotten in, and the clarity was supposed to be coming right now from Trump. And boy, has he proven us wrong. Remember the cold open, that clip with RFK Jr. and Trump he pulled out a napkin of the Middle East and he drew a perfect map of the Middle East and knows all the troop allotments and everything. I'm destroying my throat even trying to impersonate Bobby Kennedy. Shouldn't do that. What a sad man he's turned out to be. I knew people that believed in him that were pro Bobby Kennedy when he was running for president himself. Like, I bet he's got nobody left now. What a mess. All right, guys. I think we should call it a stream. Shane, you have any events you want to promote? Anything coming up?
Nope. I am free from Michigan politics for a little while. I'm happy that nothing's coming up here, at least.
Well, I will remind you guys, WashingtonRepublicanClub.com or WashingtonGOPClub.com. Both of those addresses work. You can go to our website and you can find the tickets to the gubernatorial debate between 5 candidates, all of whom are superior to John James running for governor. And you can attend that event. It's at U of M, which is a very snooty place. So you do have to pay $20 to get in, $25 after the fees, but still worth going. Even if you can't go, please chip in, sponsor a student to attend. The College Republicans put this event on. They're working their tails off. And I think some of them said they were working on this all year. So if you support the dream, the dying dream of the Republican Party, support the College Republicans, go to our website, you can make a donation there to sponsor a student to attend the debate and maybe kindle a little flicker of hope in their hearts in these dark times. And for the closing segments or the closing video clip, I've got another one of these Iranian videos, which again, as I say, are well done. In this case, actually, also very, very poignant, and I think are an important reminder that we should be thinking about as the tragedy in the Middle East continues to unfurl. So until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. Oh, please hit the like button too, by the way. It does help us with the algorithm, especially these days when we're dealing with Twitter, X, and all this other bullshit out there. So thanks again for tuning in. Till next time, peace.
It was happily ever after, but
Wait for me!